You already know what you need to do. I'm not telling you anything new. There's that one thing you keep thinking about. The message you haven't sent, the idea you haven't started, the decision you keep replaying in your head like, maybe this time you'll see something different. But instead of moving, you pause. You tell yourself, I'll think about it a little more. And a little more turns into days, weeks, sometimes years. Here's the part nobody likes to hear. You're not stuck because you don't know what to do. You're stuck because you're waiting for certainty. And certainty doesn't come first. It never has. If this feels a little too specific, good. That means this video is for you. So why do we get stuck like this? Why do we keep hesitating even when we know the next step could change everything? It's not because you're lazy or because you're scared of work. It's because your brain is wired to protect you. Think about it. Evolution didn't design your brain to make you rich, famous, or successful. It designed it to keep you alive, to avoid danger, to prevent mistakes, and every time you even consider doing something that feels risky, your brain flips a warning sign. Stop. This could hurt you. That's why we procrastinate, overthink, and wait for the perfect moment. Our minds are doing exactly what they were supposed to do, keeping us safe. But here's the catch. What your brain sees as dangerous isn't usually dangerous at all. It's just uncomfortable. Most people don't take risks because of loss aversion. Losing feels about twice as painful as winning feels good. Even if the upside is huge, the possibility of a small loss can feel unbearable. That's why you sit there scrolling through your thoughts instead of sending the message, making the call, or starting that project. And here's the kicker. While your brain is busy protecting you, life keeps moving. Opportunities don't wait. The longer you hesitate, the higher the cost. Not because the risk grows, but because time itself is slipping away. You're not lazy. You're not scared in a weak way. You're just caught in a system designed to keep you safe, even when safety is exactly what's holding you back. You've probably told yourself this 100 times. I'll do it when I'm ready. The problem? That moment doesn't exist. Readiness is a myth your brain invented to keep you comfortable. Confidence doesn't show up first. Confidence shows up after you take action. Every time. Think about it. The first time you rode a bike, you weren't ready. You probably wobbled, fell, scraped your knees. But by the third ride, you started to feel it. By the 10th, you were unstoppable. That's how growth works. That's how action works. Studies show that skill and confidence increase after exposure, not before. You don't think your way into courage. You act your way into it. So the next time you hear that voice saying, I'll do it when I'm ready, remember, it's lying to you. Safe feels comfortable, but comfort is exactly what keeps you stuck. Real progress comes from moving before you feel ready. Here's something most people never stop to realize. Risk isn't as scary as you think. When you hear the word, your mind probably jumps to dramatic stuff. Quitting your job tomorrow, moving to a new country, or investing all your savings in some impossible dream. But that's Hollywood risk. Real life risk? It's usually small, manageable, and much less intimidating than your imagination makes it. The real problem is not the risk itself, it's how your brain blows it out of proportion. Your mind doesn't measure risk logically, it measures it emotionally. That's why sending a single email, pitching an idea, or starting something new can feel like stepping off a cliff. Here's the twist. Inaction is a risk too. Every day you delay, you're gambling with your future. Not taking action means letting opportunities slip by, letting your skills stagnate, letting life pass you without your input. That's a risk most people never even see, but it's the one that costs the most. Think about it like this. Risky. Sending that first message to a client or potential partner. Risky. Starting that side project that's been on your mind for months. Risky. Applying for the position you feel underqualified for. All of these risks are reversible. The worst-case scenario is rarely permanent. Meanwhile, the cost of not taking them, it builds every day. Regret grows quietly, but it grows. Next time you freeze at the thought of doing something risky, ask yourself, is this action actually dangerous or just uncomfortable? Most of the time, it's the latter. Here's the part nobody likes to think about. The cost of not taking the risk. Right now, avoiding action feels safe. You tell yourself, I'll wait until the timing is right. Or, maybe later. But every day you delay, you're paying a hidden price. It's quiet, almost invisible, but it's real. Imagine this. 1 year from now, you look back and realize you didn't take that chance when you could have. You didn't send the email. You didn't pitch the idea. You didn't start the project. And suddenly, the pain isn't about failing, it's about wondering, what if I had? Studies show that when people reflect on their lives, the most common regrets aren't the mistakes they made, they're the opportunities they didn't take. Not the failures, the chances they never even tried. It's not just emotional cost. The longer you avoid action, the further you fall behind. Skills don't develop themselves. Opportunities don't wait. Connections aren't made by wishful thinking. By not taking that first step today, you're letting life move forward without you. And eventually, the gap between where you are and where you could have been feels impossible to close. Staying safe might feel comfortable, but comfort is a slow trap. Every "I'll wait" is like a day of life slipping through your fingers, and one day you'll realize the thing you were afraid to do was the very thing that could have changed everything. Let's make this real. Risk doesn't have to be dramatic. Most of the time, it's small. Everyday actions that feel scary but are completely manageable. Risk is sending the email you've been putting off for weeks. It's pitching your idea to someone you admire. It's showing up for that audition, meeting, or interview even though your stomach is in knots. It's starting that side project with 0 followers, 0 feedback, and 0 guarantees. Here's another one. Asking someone out, speaking up in a meeting, or posting your first video online. It feels huge in the moment, but look at it logically. What's the worst that happens? You fail, you learn, that's it. You survive. And each time, you get stronger. Even the big risks we admire in stories are really just a series of small steps stacked together. Elon Musk didn't invent SpaceX overnight. He started with smaller bets, prototypes, and failures, one calculated move at a time. The difference between someone who acts and someone who doesn't is simple. One made the first move. That's it. When you think about risk, don't imagine a cliff dive. Imagine the first step, the one you can actually take today. That's where all real change begins. Here's the truth about taking risks. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And that's okay. Most people imagine taking a risk like flipping a switch and suddenly everything changes. But life doesn't work that way. You take the step and then you see what happens. You learn, you adjust, you grow. Even failure is valuable. Every time you put yourself out there, you get feedback, real information you can use. That feedback rewires your brain, builds experience, and makes the next step easier. Confidence, skills, and clarity don't come before action. They come after it. The first time you try something new, you're uncertain. The second time, a little more confident. By the 10th time, you're seeing patterns, learning strategies, and making progress faster than you ever could in your head. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates results. And the most important part, even if nothing big happens immediately, taking that first step changes you. It proves something to yourself. You can do it. And once your mind knows that, everything else feels possible. Taking risks doesn't mean throwing caution out the window. Smart risk-taking is about moving forward with awareness, not fear. The key is knowing how to minimize potential downsides while maximizing what you can gain. Before you act, ask yourself 3 questions. What's the worst realistic outcome? Get real, write it down. Most of the time, it's manageable. Can I recover from it? Even if it fails, can you bounce back? Most risks are reversible. Regret isn't. What's the potential gain, even if it fails? Every risk teaches something. Experience, confidence, knowledge, things you can't get by waiting. Let's say you want to pitch a project at work. Worst case, manager says no. Recover, refine, and try again. Potential gain. Project gets approved, you get noticed, and you learn. By thinking this way, risk feels less like a cliff and more like a calculated step forward. Smart risks aren't about being fearless. They're about being aware, prepared, and willing to act anyway. Most people underestimate just how powerful starting is. Taking that first risk, the small one you've been avoiding, doesn't just move you one step forward. It changes everything. Once you prove to yourself that you can act despite fear, everything else starts to feel possible. Think about it like rolling a snowball down a hill. That first push is the hardest. It feels heavy, scary, and exhausting. But once it starts moving, it picks up speed, gathers size, and suddenly the effort you're putting in is multiplied. That's exactly what happens when you take a risk. Every action builds confidence. Every success, no matter how small, reinforces the belief that you can. Even failure contributes. You learn, you adjust, and the next step is easier. Psychologists call this a positive feedback loop. Action breeds confidence, confidence breeds action, and momentum starts doing the work for you. One small risk doesn't just create one result. It creates momentum, which fuels every other step after it. That's the secret people miss. Progress rarely comes from giant leaps. It comes from small, consistent actions that build unstoppable momentum. And here's the kicker. The moment you start, the excuses start losing power. Waiting no longer makes sense because you're already moving. So, here's what I want you to do. Right after this video ends, don't overthink it. Don't wait for motivation, and don't aim for perfection. Just take one small step toward the thing you've been avoiding. It could be sending that email, starting that project, or even just writing down the first 3 actions you need to take to get started. Whatever it is, make it something you can actually do today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Action beats planning. Momentum beats hesitation. One small step is all it takes to break the cycle of fear and doubt. Once you move, everything else becomes easier. It's not about giant leaps or instant success. It's about showing up, doing the thing, and proving to yourself that you can. That's how everything changes. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more time. All you need is one decision. Just take the risk.